If you're looking for highly customizable Rogue WeakAuras for Wrath of the Lich King Classic, well, you're watching the right video. I'll be showing you how to install and properly customize them to your liking. We have a lot to cover, so let's get right into it. Alright, so let's begin with the installation. Before we do anything, I recommend that you delete the previous version of the WeakAuras that you were using. This will ensure that we get a clean new install, which will limit the risk of possible issues. You'll only have to do this process once, since in the future, you'll simply have to update them as needed. Let's head over to luxthos.com in order to copy the import code. The link is provided in the description down below. Simply scroll down on the page, click the button to copy the code, and head back to World of Warcraft. Once you're in-game, make sure to open up the WeakAuras panel by typing /WA in the chat window. Click Import, paste the code, and you're done. One thing to keep in mind is that the name of the actual groups are very important. You need to make sure you do not rename any of them. Also, make sure you do not have any duplicates. If you have multiple copies of the same WeakAuras, the added number to the group name will cause you some issues. The last thing on our list before we move on to the customization is to make sure we activate the action bar cooldown number in the interface options. Without this, if you're using the default UI, you simply won't see any number on your auras. If you want to change the look and behavior of those numbers, you can use an add-on like OmniCC or something more complex like ElvUI. It is important to notice that both these add-ons will replace the default number, so make sure you don't have both options active at the same time or you'll be seeing some overlaps. Alright, so we're going to move on to the customization, and we're going to start with placement and sizing. Because I'm using a 1440p resolution and a 100% UI render scale, you might be seeing something different on your end. The WeakAuras might be bigger or smaller, and I'm going to show you how to change that. First of all, open up the WeakAuras panel, /WA. Simply click on Luxthos Rogue, the main group right here, and you're going to go into the Group tab right here. You can see the group scale slider, so that allows you to size them down and up to your liking. You can also change the X offset if you want it to be a little bit more to the left or to the right to have it off-centered. And you also have access to the Y offset over here to move it up or down. So depending on your resolution and your scale and how you want your UI to look, you're going to be able to customize that to your liking. Alright, so we're now going to cover the groups, their utility, and how to organize the information within them. So this is going to be very important to understand the other step of the customization. I want to simply go over every single group that you can see here for the Rogue WeakAuras, and I want to explain to you what do they do, what are they up to, what do they contain, and what you can do with them, right? So things are a little bit different here. So in the past, if you've been using my previous WeakAuras for Burning Crusade or even Shadowland and Battle for Azeroth, the information was a little bit more static. So everything was in a static position and it was a little bit complicated to move things, especially if you wanted to line things up with your keybinds and all of that good stuff. That was a little bit more complicated. So we've moved on to a new design that everything is a lot more free-flowing and a lot easier to customize everything and move everything. So we're going to start over with the core here, which is going to be the most important central group here in the WeakAuras. This group contains every single rotational and cooldown ability that are very class-defining for the rogue here. They're all going to be sitting in the middle here, and as you can see, there's two things going on. So there is what I call the main bar at the top here, which contains 8 icons over here, and then everything else after that, the overflow, is going into the secondary bar at the bottom here in a much smaller and condensed icon here at the bottom. So this is something that you're going to be able to customize how many icons are showing up, but also you're able to show and change abilities position. So if you want something to be in the core primary portion here, you simply have to move them and drag them up in the order. It's simply going to pick the first 8 that are being loaded for your current specialization and push everything downward. So if you would like maybe your interrupts, like your kick or your shadow step, to be a little bit higher in the priority to show up here because that's important to you, well, you can do that. And even better, if you want something, for example, like kidney shot, for example, to be after kick, well, it's really straightforward. You simply drag and drop, or you can use the little arrows here as well. And there we go. The position has been changed. So that's been fully updated. So that's quite nice. Let's reset it back to normal. So you have full control over this group. Really, really awesome new feature that we got here. So you're going to be able to customize everything to your liking. So anchored to this group, we got a lot of other information. So for the rogue here, we got the dynamic effects and the dynamic spells. So these are going to be the dynamic group that is sitting at the top here. So dynamic effects is going to be sitting on the left and is going to grow inward here towards the right. And then you have the spell here that is going to do the opposite on the opposite side. We're going to start here with dynamic effects, and we're going to go over these. So there's not a lot of thing going on for rogue. There's few procs, but that's what you're going to see in here. You're going to see mostly procs. So buff, debuff, and tier set. So you're going to be able to see those things in here in the group. It's all going to be listed here. It's usually going to be little tracker buff or debuff that are going to show up for a couple of seconds and then disappear. So you're going to see them here. You're going to be able to modify the order as well if you want something to show up maybe before something else because it's more important to you. You can do that. You can also reduce the amount of them that are showing up. If there's too many that are showing up at the time, depending on your build, you can simply click one of them, go into the load section, and simply check never. That will simply prevent it from loading, and it's going to make things a little bit more cleaned up and less crowded for you if that's something that you're experiencing. We're now going to move on to the dynamic spells that is sitting right here. So the dynamic spells for rogue is pretty straightforward. It's pretty much just garrote. So we're going to track the ability right here. It's going to be sitting on this side. It's pretty much just going to track that ability on its own here on the side. It's something that's not used quite often as in other version of the game because it's only used from stealth. So it's going to be tracked on here, and whenever there's nothing to track, it's simply going to disappear. So it's going to be quite easy to customize that. And if you would like this ability to show up into the core group, well, all you got to do is click and drag it, and it's going to show up in here. It's going to be showing up. You're just going to need to change a little bit of information into the trigger section. So right now it is tracking the debuff of garrote. So as you can see, it's going to track the debuff for the target. And at the bottom here, it's going to say aura found. So you simply want to change this to always. There we go. And then you can click this thing right here that says show if unit doesn't exist. And now you have garrote that is sitting up here. We're simply going to change this condition here to aura found true. There we go. And now garrote is going to be sitting here, and you're going to be able to track this ability. So we're going to reset everything down to default. You can pretty much customize these. These are going to, you should only have to change this section here. The conditions are going to be adapted to work all the time. So you're simply going to need to do this. So I'm going to move it back to aura found here. And then we're going to remove the if unit doesn't exist because we're going to reset it into the dynamic spell category right here. There we go. We're going to change this back to active. So it's a different trigger, so the condition has to be changed. So there's a little bit of WeakAuras knowledge, but it pretty much, I'm showing you how to exactly do it if it's something that you would like to change. So there you go. So you can do this with that, and it's going to be quite easy to customize the dynamic section. We're going to now move on to the left and right group over here. So the left and right side group, as you can see, are currently empty. They don't really do anything at the moment. But what they're used for is that if you've previously used the WeakAuras for Battle for Azeroth or even Shadowland, the information was a little bit more separated on the side of the auras. So you could see here your offensive cooldown, and on the other side, you could see also your interrupts and your stuns. If this is something that you want to go back to, or if it's something that you would simply like to customize, it's quite easy to do. So for example, let's say that I would like these three ability to show up into this group right here on the right side. All I have to do is click and drag, move them to the right side, And that's it. I close the weak aura, do a quick slash reload, allowing them to resize and position themselves properly. And there we go. So if you would like this information to be a little bit more, separated so you can track it a little bit better, that's something that you have the possibility of doing. So that's going to be quite nice. We're going to go back and put these back in order. There we go. Awesome. So we got the left side and the right side done. They're going to remain empty, but you can use them to customize and separate things a little bit better if that's going to help you out notice maybe some abilities. We already talked about the core, so we're going to move on now to the maintenance group over here for the rogue. Maintenance is quite simple for rogue. It's simply going to be some things that they don't really have their place in the main core. They're going to sit here at the bottom. This is going to tell you if you're in stealth, the cooldown of stealth, and if you have applied your poison. So it's simply going to show you your weapon icon if you have or don't have your poison, and you're also going to be able to customize how these information are being displayed if you only want a reminder when the abilities, when the poison is not applied, or if you want to show it all the time, you're going to be able to have full customization of that in a later part of the video. So that's going to sit here right at the bottom. You can customize the order as well. Quite simple. We're now going to move on to the resources group right here. For the rogue class, this is going to be the health bar, the energy bar, and the combo points. So this is brand new to the WeakAuras, but you can now load up a health bar. By default, it's not going to be loaded, but all you need to do is simply click the health bar here, go into the load tab and uncheck never. We're going to go back to the WeakAuras and we're going to do a quick slash reload. And there you go. So you're going to be able to track your health at all time. It's going to be displayed here and you'll be able to customize also the order and also the color of all of this. So there you go. We're going to go back and reset this to its default position. We're going to unload it. There we go. You're going to have the energy bar, quite straightforward. And then you're going to have your combo points. So these are going to be able to be customizable as well, their color and their behavior. So you're going to be able to do that. So these are just going to be sitting here. So this group here is sitting in between the main bar and the secondary here at the bottom. So it's going to sit right there in the middle. And you can change pretty much all of the information in here. So if you want maybe to change the order, you can do that. They're going to show up in a different area. To prevent this from happening, by the way, what just happened here, you can simply use the little arrows here. Sometimes the drag and drop is having some issues. So the little arrows here are going to make it easier for you to change. You can pretty much do everything. If you want the combo points to be up top, well, you can do that. Simply have to change the order here. So that's pretty much it for the groups. This is going to help you understand what's coming up in the later segment of this video so you can know what everything does and how to properly customize all of those things. Sometimes when you close the panel after customizing things, make sure you do a quick slash reload and you'll be back to normal. All right, so we're now going to be talking about the custom options. So this is going to be a pretty big segment, but it should be quite fun. This is where you're going to learn how to customize the layout, the style, and every cool aspect of your Rogue WeakAuras. So if we click on the Rogue group just right here and we go into the custom option tab here, you'll see all the possible things that you can modify. So all these things are going to modify the design in one way or another of the WeakAuras, and I'm going to show you everything that you can change here, how to modify it, and all of that good stuff. So as we do this, I'm going to be building a new design just out of fun. So this should be great. It should be cool. So we're going to be doing that together, and at the end, I'll show you what it all looks like. So firstly, before we get started here, I want to show you where all of these things are coming from, right? It's because there's 3 sources of possible custom option that are here. So the first one is going to be the general option. These are, as the name suggests, general options. So all of these things here are general to every class. So that means that you can share this with other people technically, or you can also copy and paste it onto other classes. So if you want to copy the design, you can simply go here, copy settings, custom configuration, and you can paste it on the other general options for your other classes, right? Then you're going to have the class option. These are going to be health bar, energy, combo point. All of this thing is going to be more related to towards your class, especially if you want to customize the colors and all that stuff. So you're not really going to be able to duplicate it to other classes, but you could share it with another rogue, for example, if you want to share that part of the design. And then the third section is going to be the maintenance icon here. So that's going to be for the behavior of some of your maintenance buff. For the rogue, it's only going to be the poison, but at least you're going to be able to modify that. So this is a lot of information. Everything is kind of spread out. This is why it's pretty straightforward. You just got to click on the rogue group here, custom option, and everything is going to get grouped up together in a single tab. So you don't have to really play around in any of these specifically. Just click the main group here, go into the custom option, and you're good to go. So now that we got that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and create a new design from scratch. We're just going to have fun here. Let's open up the global style and look at what we can do here. So firstly, you can apply a border to every single element. That includes the bar, the health, energy, combo point. Every single icon is going to get a border here. If you apply this, you can go all the way to none or 3. We're going to put it at 2 for now for this new design we're going to create. You can also change the color of that border if you want it. You can get it any color you want. We're going to leave it at black for now. It looks really, really good. You can remove the option to apply it to the resources. If that's ever something you want, you can simply uncheck this. And then we're going to have the zoom for the icons. So the default World of Warcraft icons have this kind of 3D edge over them, like this kind of little 3D design that's going on around here. And in order to remove that, you simply apply a 33% zoom. So that gives it this nice clean look. If you're ever importing your own icon and you don't need this, you can simply remove it here. We're going to go back and reapply the border for fun. We're going to close this out and we're going to move on to the main icons here. There we go. For the main icon here, you can change a couple of options. So the width, the height, the spacing, and the number of icons. So for the width here, pretty straightforward. That's going to be the width of the main row. So this is going to be the main row here above the resources group right here. So you can go ahead and play with this. You can have like a kind of a more, like skinny rectangle like this. This could look pretty nice. But we're going to go back and reset it to default here, 48. There we go. And instead, we're actually going to reduce the height here. So we're going to lower this down to, let's say 36. So that's going to give it like more of a rectangle look like this. That's going to look pretty nice. We're going to do this for this little design here. We're going to reduce the spacing to 1. This is going to control the spacing between all the primary icons for the first bar and also the resources. That includes the combo point, the energy, all of that stuff. Simply reduce it to 1 here. There you go. If you want to have more of a minimalistic design. And then my favorite option is going to be the number of icons here. So this is nice. This is going to control how many icons are showing up on that first row, right? And everything else is going to scale accordingly. So that means the energy, the combo point, everything is going to scale up. That means you could change the design entirely here. So by default, we have the 8 icon. And keep in mind that for most of the classes, the design is put in mind with 8 icons. So I try to have the first 8 icon be more important, I guess, for your class. They're very, very, very prone to being in the right spot, right, for your class. So you want to keep that in mind. If you do decide to lower below 8, you're going to get something looking like this. So all the overflow is going to go down. You might get 2 row, but I mean, it doesn't look bad, right? You can still play around with this and get some interesting design. So feel free to play with this. Feel free to modify everything in here. You can get some pretty interesting look, but we're now going to leave it at 8 for now. Okay, so let's move on to the secondary icons. So again, pretty straightforward. You're going to get some width, height, and spacing. Secondary icon is going to be the second row here below the resources. So we're not going to touch the width for here, but we're going to lower down a little bit the height. There you go, to get the more rectangular look. And we're going to reduce the spacing here down to 1. There we go, looking good. Dynamics icons. So these are the 2 section at the top here in the dynamic section. We're not going to change the width. We're going to modify the height ever so slightly. There you go, looking good. We're going to scale down the spacing. And here we have an option called bottom margin. So this is going to be the spacing between the icons themselves and the core primary group. So if you want to create a little bit more breathing room or remove it, this is where you're going to do it. But I like a little bit of breathing room, so we're going to leave it at 10. You can swap the location of these groups. So if you want to swap them and have the debuff and the tier sets and all that stuff show up on the right instead, and then your ability showing up here, you can do that. There we go. And then you can also align them from center. So instead of aligning to the side here and growing towards the middle, you can reverse that and align from the center and grow outward. And you can also flip from this position. So you have full control here over how things are going to behave and look for the dynamic icon. For the side icons here, you have the same settings as every other icon group, but this one we're not going to modify it because we're not using the side groups here. So left and right group, we're not going to modify this because we don't use them right now. But if you ever use them, if you ever move abilities into those group, make sure you come here and style them the way you want to, including the side margin here to control how far away they are from the primary group. For the maintenance icon here, we're going to have some cool stuff. So you're going to have the behavior of your maintenance that we showed earlier, and then you're going to have the icon, again, styling and spacing. So we're going to reduce this for a new design here. We're going to reduce the spacing, and then you have access to the top margin, which is exactly what you would think. It's the opposite of the bottom one for the dynamic information here. So feel free to modify that if you want to. And then for the poisons here, pretty much you have a couple of options. You can show if the poisons are applied, you can show if they're missing, or you can always show. So by default, I do show if missing, because I don't think you need to see like a 30-minute buff at all time, but feel free to change this if you want to show them at all time. This is going to be customizable for you. Remember that they don't show in rested area. So you need to go in combat or leave a rested area. For the resources for the rogue here, very straightforward. You're going to be able to change the positioning of the resource group. Do you want it to be between the main bar and the secondary bar, or do you want it to be above? So if you put it above, you get this nice little look right here where the combo points and the energy bar are sitting on top of your abilities right here. So that's quite nice. That looks pretty good. We're going to leave it like this, like default. Why not? You know, I kind of like this. We're going to do that. You can then modify the height of those three different categories. So height 1 is going to be for your health and energy. So if you want, you can change this. There you go. Obviously, if you want to have them have different value, you can do this. So you're going to be able to change that later on. And for example, health bar, you could give it height 2 or height 3 if you wanted to, in order to control it differently, right? Height 2 is going to be your combo point. So if you want, you can have larger or smaller combo. By default, it's going to be sitting right here. But we can, you know what, for this design here, let's just do 10. Let's create like a more little clean look like this. I kind of like this. And resource 3 is not going to be used for rogue at the moment, but this is usually for pet health bar and cooldowns. Additional cooldowns. The next option here is going to be for out of combat alpha. So this is pretty neat. So this is going to allow you to change the opacity of your WeakAuras when you're not in combat, right? So we can put this at 50% right there, and as long as we're not in combat, they're going to be showing up with 50% opacity. You can even lower all the way down to 0 here. And you also have the option to ignore an enemy target or friendly target. That means if I target a dummy here or an NPC, the WeakAuras are going to show up. So that's pretty neat. That is pretty cool. We're going to leave it at 100% for now because I like seeing them all the time. We're going to move on to the health bar. Very, very straightforward here. You're going to have the height of the health bar. So this is going to be showing up right here. So if you want to change it to height 1 or height 2, like I explained, to height 2 or height 3 rather, like I explained a little bit earlier, you can do that. You can also change the text formatting if you want the full value, formatted value, full value plus percent, formatted percent, or just the percent for that. You can also change the color. So you can have a gradient, which is already applied here, darker green to light green. You can change the color here to whatever you want, if you want to have whatever gradient your heart desire. And then you can also remove the gradient and simply use the first color instead, right? If you want a flat color, that's also possible here. Next up, we're going to have the energy bar. Energy bar is pretty much the same except the formatting. So we have the resources height here, whatever you want to pick. You have the same little gradient here, the same little checkbox here. So you can change all of these options to look just as you want it to. And then the combo points are pretty much going to be the same thing as well. So you choose the height, whatever you want, and then you can choose the color. So the way that it works is that you're going to see the default combo point color, which is going to be red. The highlight color is for when you reach 4 combo points, and full is when you have 5 out of 5. So you can change these to whatever behavior you want. Again, you have all the gradient options. all of that good stuff is going to be right here. So there you go. We got our new design here for the Rogue, and it's looking pretty cool. It's looking pretty minimalistic. I like this. This is a different way of doing it, right? If you like this, if you prefer this, you can recreate this yourself. And the really, really cool thing here is that you can share this design. So you could have imported this design from somebody else online, or you could share it with your friend or copy paste it to other classes like I've explained earlier, right? So you could copy the options and paste them onto another class. That's possible. So let's say that you want to export this and share it to a friend or import it from somebody else. So we're going to grab the general option here. We're going to do export. We're going to get this code. This is the code you would import if somebody shared it to you, or this is the code you're going to use if you want to share it to someone, right? We're going to import. We're going to paste this. We're going to do import as copy. And then as you can see, we're going to get a second layer up top here. We're going to leave this here, right? And then we're going to go back to our original Rogue layout, and we're going to reset it to default. There we go. So now the WeakAuras are back exactly like they were. So if you ever mess up anything or anything breaks, just click the reset to default. Everything should be back in place here to look exactly like they need to. And then let's say that you got this information or this customization layout here from somebody else. Simply click copy right here, copy settings. Sometimes the information doesn't show up, so make sure you hit a quick /reload. There you go. And then open up the panel again. Copy settings. Custom configuration here at the bottom. And then we're going to go ahead and paste it onto our general option. There we go. And voila, we now have the design we just created, exportable, shareable. You can do whatever the hell you want with that. And then make sure you delete this one here. Never leave outside copy here. It could cause some issue. It could cause some error. So make sure you clean that up, and then you got your brand new WeakAuras. Again, if you don't like the style you just imported, reset to default, and you're going to be good to go. So you can share it or use it from somebody else, or you can also copy and paste it across multiple classes. The last thing I want to talk about here is going to be on how to change and customize the fonts. So you might have a specific design in mind. You might want something to be done specific. And you want to change the font so that it lines up better maybe with whatever design you have in mind. There is 3 areas to change the font in the WeakAuras. There's going to be on the middle of the icon here. So if you ever use an ability, like this one here, let's say that we remove that, there we go. The cooldown here in the middle is going to be the same one as your action bar. That's actually why if you go in here and you remove this, it disappears both from your bar and from the WeakAuras. It's getting pulled directly from World of Warcraft. That means that the font that is being used here is also from World of Warcraft directly. It's not controlled by the WeakAuras, okay? So there is one way to do this, to modify this quite easily, that I've explained in the installation process. There is add-ons like OmniCC or something more complex like LVUI that will allow you to change the behavior and look of those cooldown number. So if you want to change that, you can do so by loading one of those add-ons. But you're still not done because there's a couple of other options that are going to be needed to change here. Some of the abilities are going to have stacks that are going to be tracked, and they're going to have a little number here. You can see the little 1 over this icon over here. If I click on the core group and I go into display here and I scroll down, I'll see a text 1 here. And it's going to show in blue to let me know that it's not the same as every other, aura. Like this one doesn't have it, this one doesn't have it, but this one does have it. So it's letting me know which one it is, pretty much. If you mouse over, it says Envenom. So if I go to Envenom, I'll see that the font is right here, the size and the color. If I want to change the font, simply open the drop-down, select whatever font you want. You can load additional font through add-ons or even just placing them into your directory also. So choose whatever font you want and you'll be good to go. Make sure you do this process for every group. Make sure you don't leave any behind if you want the font to be consistent across every design, right? And then the last area you're going to need to change the font is going to be through your resources bar. So your health bar and your energy bar are both going to use a font here. So you're going to scroll down. So click health bar, display, scroll down. You're going to get the font here on text 1. There we go. Energy bar, same thing. You can change the font. The size as well, if you want to, you have full control over these 2 options here. So you're going to be able to change the font, have it look exactly like you want and fit your new design. So hopefully that answers that question. All right, well, that's it for this video. I cannot believe you made it all the way to the end. If you would like to support in any way, shape, or form, make sure to like this video. I know everybody says this, but it's true. Like the video, subscribe to my channel if you want to on YouTube, and come see me on Twitch. I stream every single day on Twitch. I play World of Warcraft, I play variety games, we make WeakAuras, we have a good time. Join us, come throw me a follow, just say hi. I'll be really happy. But in the meantime, I'll see you all in World of Warcraft.